We got to rep. You got to rep Jersey. Oh,
Good jersey for this week.
Yeah,
Real
what's
Jersey.
up, everybody? What is up? Oh man, yes, this is the real Jersey. Jared Goff, baby, Detroit
The
Lions.
Goff Five.
yo, at least you would at least beat my jersey. All I have is a Washington Sentinels Shane Falco jersey, baby.
Oof.
I'll be
let's
repping
not
that
even
in
go
Giant Stadium later this year.
Shane Flacco.
Shane Falco. You got to watch the movie The
Falco.
Replacements, man.
from is I don't know.
Keanu
I know what
Reeves.
movie that is. The Replacement. Yeah. There's
Uh-huh.
actually is Happy from Iron Man in that too?
Yes, he is.
John Favreau.
John Favreau.
John Favreau is in it. Yeah, he's the crazy
Yeah.
linebacker.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, Shane
And that was back
Falco,
before he gained
Keanu
all the happy
Reeves.
weight.
Whew. Good movie.
Great movie.
Oh my god.
And it's a great movie because it's about football. So let's step into it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? So we are the Fantasy Fools podcast. Some of you may know us as the Fantasy Bros, but had to make a quick change on that kind of real time as we
came
were
up with
uploading.
an official name.
I want to go on record. I was against it in week 1 when we decided. So, and for the exact reason that it had to be changed because it was already taken. One for me.
Oh man, so if you want to look us up, our video is also on YouTube at Fantasy Fools Pod. So if you want to watch our YouTube video, for those Spotify listeners, you'll just see audio, but YouTube at Fantasy Fools with a Z, FOOLZ Pod. So if you want to come watch us, give us a subscribe or follow, and make sure you do that on Spotify as well. All right, everybody, let's jump in.
All right, so going right into a Week 10 recap. We're going to start with the first game, which would be the Bears and the Panthers. Tyler, how do you feel about that game?
Oh, man. Oh, the Bears and the Panthers. The NFL could not have picked probably a worse Thursday night football game. I want to know how many viewers, poor Amazon too, like Amazon bought those Thursday rights and they had to deal with this. I mean, it was just 13-6 Bears. It was kind of,
it
just
can't be
not
avoided,
one of those
though.
games.
I mean, Thursday night, every team gets their turn, unfortunately.
Listen, it was supposed to be a pretty good quarterback matchup when they came out with the schedules. Think about it. This was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick versus Justin Fields. Except for Justin Fields shit the bed, and Bryce Young can't do anything. So it didn't go well.
It really is just showing the Panthers really need that pick that's coming up in the next year's draft. Bryce Young, 21 for 38, 185 yards. He still remains, not even a fantasy, a quarterback option. I wouldn't even see him as a streamer right now.
He's not a streamer right now. You can't use him for anything. But here's the problem. You have him, the Carolina Panthers, they have him at, they drafted him at number 1 overall, but they literally don't have their first pick this year. They traded away their first 2 first-round picks. Somehow the Bears are going to walk away with this. They're going to walk away with literally their first-round pick this year, and it's going to end up being probably top 3.
Yeah, I know last week we were talking about kind of just fantasy disappointments, and I think Bryce Young is number 1 for most people. I think he had such a high regard coming into this year for the Panthers. I say bring back Andy Dalton. I mean, come on, the guy at least did something.
Man,
he was fantasy relevant.
Bryce Young
is a professional.
Let's be honest. Who's Bryce Young passing to? Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm feeling Thielen.
He should have stayed with the Vikings. You could have continued to be number 2 and succeeded.
I don't know. He's succeeding in his wallet right now. I don't think Adam Thielen is feeling too bad about it. He's getting more targets now. He wasn't going to be anything with the Vikings being number 3, but now he's got the number 1 look. He's literally, he's got a heavy wallet. That's probably why he's slowing down on top of the fact that he's, 33 years old right now? I think it's the wallet slowing him down.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on the Panthers is really fantasy relevant right now.
No, I mean Chuba Hubbard might. This week he had a bad, not I wouldn't say a productive game at all. 9 carries, 23 yards. He did have two receptions, which was something if you did play him. But I don't really trust the Panthers right now. Miles Sanders isn't performing. Chuba Hubbard is not really performing. Even from a wide receiver side, I really think the only play right now is Adam Thielen. He did get 6 receptions for 42 yards. That was one of the lower ends of the spectrum, but. Looking at the other side, the winning team, you got Tyson Bagent, still not a fantasy option. But what do you think about Deontay Foreman?
I see. That's what my question was going to be. I think I know, Mike, you're a big Roshan Johnson fan, right? Or you had high hopes for him. My question is, maybe this is his week one back. His first week back. We'll see what happens. But Deontay Foreman, he's been pretty good.
I have high hopes for Roshan. Deontay Foreman, he has. The past 5 games, he's actually been pretty good. He's getting a good amount of the snap count. He's had over 15 carries in the last 5 games. For the last 5 games. He's doing all right, but I don't know. I just think once Roshan ends up getting a little bit more of a chance, he's going to end up picking it up. Khalil Herbert's hurt right now. When Khalil Herbert comes back in, he might just drop back to being that number 3 or number 2 guy. And I just think at all times there's going to always be somebody else looking to rush the ball. And let's keep in mind, I mean, how much longer is Justin Fields going to be out? Justin Fields is going to be out, and he's going to all of a sudden start running too. I just don't. I don't trust anyone on the running back side for the Bears long term, especially now you're talking about your teams here. We're 10 weeks in. Your guys are either looking to ramp up for the playoffs, and you got to look at the playoff schedules. And I mean, he's not going to be around to help you in the playoffs.
Yeah, and to Mike, talk to your point, Herbert, I think, is going to be back this week. I don't remember who they're playing. Let me check real quick. They're going to be playing.
They're going to be playing Detroit, which is a great matchup against the run. Yeah. Ty, you can go start repping Goff.
Before we move on, I think. What do we think about DJ Moore? Like, until Justin Fields, is he not really relevant? Are you putting him in your starting lineup?
I don't.
I don't know.
The answer is no.
The answer is no. The answer is absolutely no.
All right. So
there's no way you could really trust him right now. The last 5 weeks, he's getting the targets, but he's not getting anywhere near the looks. He's not getting the touchdowns that he was getting earlier this year.
Yeah, I would say maybe he's a flex option if you're desperate. But one thing I did want to point out is my boy improved his yardages from -5 to a whole 15 yards. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
You're going to tell me.
Tyler Scott, baby.
Oh, God.
He also had 1 run for 16 yards. That brought his total to 31 yards. I mean, come on, dude. Every time, Jordan, you were like, you're an oracle. You knew it was going to come.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so let's move on to people who are actually relevant, huh?
More yards I've ever gotten in the NFL. So, on to the Colts and the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you want to start us off?
I mean, this is another just doozy, isn't it? I mean, the final score of this game was 16 points, boys. You had offense struggling on both sides of the ball. I mean, the biggest takeaway here, in my opinion, Jonathan Taylor has now officially taken the full reins behind the backfield of the Indianapolis Colts. Zach Moss is no longer even a concept of a thought of playing him. Because you're talking Jonathan Taylor played in 88% of the snaps. I mean, that's the biggest thing you could take away from this game.
Taylor was a volume player this week.
Absolutely.
And in my opinion, Zach Moss, was he fantasy relevant when he was with the Bills? Not really. Like, I think we all kind of maybe saw this one coming. Especially
he had flashes.
Taylor's sign.
See, I don't think that personally, Jordan, I actually don't think that's fair, and I can be totally biased on this one. I 100% agree with that. But like, I have Zach Moss in a dynasty league. I've been riding him. He's been on my bench, just burning a seat in my pants for the past 3 years. Finally, I saw him get traded to the Colts. Jonathan Taylor's not there, and he excelled. So Zach Moss, he actually showed that he can play. I'm hopeful that next year
he'll have good games. I just don't see him having consistency. Maybe
no,
it's lack of opportunity.
No. again, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I have hopes for him next year when his contract is up after this year, and I think he proved that he can play. I think he might be able to get a role where he might have at least a little bit more of a consistent effort next year. That's my next hope. But the bottom line is that Zach Moss, unless you have Jonathan Taylor, he is not worth a damn thing for you.
Yeah.
My
So, Mike,
next
you bring
hope
up a
is
good
you still
point.
pick him next year in fantasy football.
Mike, you bring up a good point, though. You look at the different leagues you can be in, and Zach Moss could be a dynasty option if you're, short on RBs. Because, like you said, he's got 1 year. Do you think they're going to sign him again? No, he proved that he can carry the workload when a stronger RB isn't in play. So, just important. On the other end, wide receivers, we're looking at Michael Pittman. I still think Pittman is a start. You paid the money for him.
I agree.
I think Michael Pittman, I agree. You kind of have to play him, especially in PPR formats. Bottom line, Michael Pittman right now he is a decent play just because he's going to keep getting the looks, right? Michael Pittman over the last 5 weeks has gotten 8 or more targets and 8 or more receptions in 4 of the last 5 weeks. They're going to keep throwing the ball to him. That's Gardner Minshew right there, and I think that's a Gardner Minshew special. This is a different guy and a different player, in my opinion, when Anthony Richardson comes back next year. But this year, absolutely, you play him.
Yep.
And I think with Michael
and he'll
Pittman,
be coming up again later in the pod boys.
And I think with Michael Pittman, he, it's different than the DJ Moore situation we were talking about last game. Like, he's still seeing the targets, even though there's a backup quarterback in. So, yeah, I'm still putting him in. I still think he brings, at least flex value, if not WR2 value.
Yeah, I think the only other really person that we should talk about is Josh Downs. Not a great week this week. I think his most of his yards came from one of his last receptions. He had 2. I think it was the second one in like the fourth quarter that he got that brought him up. At least he got you something. Kind of a disappointment this week, but I still think Downs is him and Gardner Minshew have great synergy. It's shown over the past couple weeks. I don't know if I'd go out and grab him, but Josh Downs, in my opinion, is still definitely a flex option.
You think
Josh
he's a buy
Downs,
low
I actually
candidate?
Say that again, Jordan.
Tyler? Do you think he's a buy low candidate?
I think he definitely is. I think the first couple, or I think it was like week 1 and 2. Week 1 and 2, I don't really think he was too productive, but then like weeks 3 through, it's got to be 8. He put up decent numbers over, I think, 10 each game, right? And I think 1 week or 2 weeks he had 20. So I think he's still a fantasy relevant player for sure.
Don't see many other players on that team getting like that.
I wouldn't even play their tight end.
I had high hopes for Alex Pierce when he first came into the league. I thought he was gonna, grow into a better role. But
I will give you a fun fact though. Alex Pierce, every single week, I believe he has a 90+% snap percentage every single week this entire season. I even think it's higher than 90%.
That's nuts.
I see. First of all, boys, we're proving how irrelevant he is. We're proving how irrelevant he is by literally getting his name wrong. His name is Alec Pierce. Okay,
that's what I said.
You're saying Alex. Both you're saying Alex. Either way, it doesn't matter. You are right, Tyler. He is in the 90s or 100% of snaps in pretty much every week. The only problem with that is it seems to work against him because his targets they're nowhere to be seen. They're not one. Yeah. He only has 3 games over 5 or more targets. Everything else is under.
Man,
they got better options. How about those Patriots, though?
How about them Pats?
I don't think they're even worth talking about. Mac Jones is proving he is not a capable quarterback starting quarterback in the NFL.
And I mean, I'm going to say something I thought I'd never say. Bill Belichick's in the hot seat. Man,
is he though? Do you think he sees next year?
That franchise respects him way too much, but maybe instead of him being GM and coach, they're like, listen, you can stay on, but you got to be one or the other.
I could see that happening. I could see Bill Belichick having to take a step back. I really can. I think he should, to be honest. But right now, I think they got to ride with Bill Zappi next game. I think Mac Jones' experiment is pretty much over. The only
Talk
person
about
I'd play.
what did you call
The
him?
only person I'd play on this team.
What? Wait, what did you call him?
It's Bailey.
Bailey. Oh, there you go.
I'm
See, okay, that's the point.
First names. It's Bailey, good sir.
Okay, you just proved my point. He's the only one who you can really go with at the
One letter
quarterback
wrong.
position. Is that we all got one? So
We all get one. You're right.
you got Stevenson at running back, and you got are you guys buying into the Demario Douglas? Are you guys buying into that hype right now?
I mean, you got to
Not with
look
that
at the
quarterback.
numbers. Yeah, but even like you look at the numbers, he's proving that even with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi as his quarterback, he's still getting receptions. I mean, I think Mike Demario Douglas is someone that I either want to get my eyes on, pick up in waivers, or consider making a trade.
Want to know why I would really like to have him at least on my bench? They're going into their bye this week, but after that they play the Giants, the Chargers, Pitt. Then they play KC, which is a little bit tougher. Then they play Denver and Buffalo into the playoffs. I am only afraid of one of those games, and that's Kansas City. I mean, everyone else going into the playoffs is looking pretty prime. The only issue is who's throwing them the ball.
Right. And so my point was going to be that, unfortunately, I just don't trust who's throwing them the ball. I don't trust that really the
I
quarterback.
can't blame
play.
you there.
So, right. And they had 18 completions and 27 attempts. That's like, it's not fantasy relevant. So yeah, Demario Douglas, like there's hype around him. If he just like had an upgrade at quarterback, he'd be more relevant. But I'm like, maybe he's in the flex conversation for me. I feel like you can find better picks.
Yeah, and I think the only other option really the only play on the Patriots right now is Ramondre Stevenson. At least he's performing over the last couple of weeks, if nothing else in volume. But other than that, Patriots don't expect them to do much the rest of the season. Going into Browns Ravens, what an awesome game, Mike. What did you think about the Browns Ravens?
I absolutely loved the ending. Let me tell you. Watching that all come together, and then having Cleveland, I believe that's the one where they missed the extra point to tie it, and then got the winning field goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was, I mean,
no, that was last night. Unless it happened twice, that was last night.
No.
No, you're right.
Last night was a whole other ball game with Denver and Buffalo.
I thought the same thing too, Tyler. But then I realized no. He says the extra point, which is different.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, the extra point, having Cleveland miss the extra point, and then having them come back and win it with a field goal later on in that quarter with the final seconds to go. I mean, it was literally just final seconds to go. And I mean, my God, it was what a game. I mean, you got a couple people who really kind of went off. I mean, even Elijah Moore got somehow involved in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And Deshaun Watson kind of started to look like he was, dusting off some of the rust there, making some good. I mean, he had 20 completions, threw it 34 times, and he also got 37 yards with his legs. So I'm not sure he's gonna I'm not sure he's my ride or die person for the rest of the season by any means, but I do see potential in next season. Maybe he could be that sleeper QB you can get at 8th.
I just wish he could stay healthy because before this week, I wish I can't. On the field would be great, yes. But I mean, I'm just looking here. I can't see the rankings, unfortunately, here by QBs. But I know going into after last week, of the 5 games he played, he finished top 10 in QB rankings in 3 of those 5, and the other 2 he got hurt. And now this one, he put up 16.2 points. He played in most of the game. I really wish I could see what he was like if he could just stay healthy, because I think Deshaun Watson really could have been that top 10 QB that you really were thinking that you were going to get at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's maybe a streamer. I definitely think there's better quarterback options right now, but besides him being a potential, I would say, option, the rushing game, they had Jerome Ford with a surprising with a surprising 17 carries and 107 yards. I think he's definitely someone to snag.
I
Oh
agreed.
man,
I mean, I could, if you want to trade for Jerome Ford, he's clearly the workhorse back. I think that's the
Yeah.
guy who you would want in the backfield. I don't want to take anything away from Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt certainly has his role, and he's actually very, very good at that role. But the problem is, he does not see a lot of he does not see enough volume to make him justified to play if he does not get a touchdown. Fortunately, since they signed him, he's pretty much gotten a touchdown in every single game. He's going on. He's played 7 games in a row. He's been on since week 3, and he's literally scored a touchdown or more in week 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I mean, he's literally at least gotten one. Take away those touchdowns, though, the most yardage he has is 55. You have to have a touchdown with Kareem Hunt, or he's just not going to help you,
right. And I
especially going
think
into playoffs.
yeah, Jerome Ford, I think he's awesome. If you can trade for him, I think like he's brings that RB2 value for sure. And like you said, like maybe Kareem Hunt gets that touchdown, but he's not taking away his yardage. Look,
Right.
he's every game Ford is going to outcarry Hunt. I don't think that's in question.
I don't disagree with you, but I think it's a lot closer than you think, Jordan, with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt as far as fantasy is concerned. Because I actually don't know if I could say which one I would rather have. Because Jerome Ford is not getting the looks at the goal line like Kareem Hunt is. He's not getting them.
I just think Jerome Ford has a little bit more juice, it looks like. I mean, don't worry, Kareem Hunt, I think he's still, I mean, as long as he gets that touchdown, you can play him. But I think Jerome Ford is someone he's going to continue to get those attempts, get those yards, and I think a touchdown's on his way. But from a receiving side, Jordan, Amari Cooper, you play?
Yeah. I think like with the way that with Deshaun, on the field you play him. He's good. He's got top 15 potential every week.
Yep. David Njoku, I think, is showing that you can probably put him in your lineup at tight end. 5 for 44 and a TD. 6 for 58. Not a terrible fantasy week. That's really it from the Browns. But Ravens, Jordan, we were talking last week about MVP candidates, and you mentioned Lamar Jackson. You still feeling that way?
I mean, it doesn't disqualify him. Consider this. Browns are solid offense, or solid defense, I should say. And I mean, I don't know. They still put up 33 points. Or 31 points.
They did put up 31 points, but
unfortunately,
guess who did not put up 31 points? Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson
I guess. Yeah, I still believe in the Ravens, but yeah, this game makes it questionable for.
I mean,
this is going to be the game, just like
game in a row.
It was against the Chiefs.
This is 3 games in a row where he's put up under 15 fantasy points. I don't know if I have the trust in Lamar Jackson. He's not doing it with the legs anymore. He has the talent. I'll say he has the running talent, but he does not do it anymore since he signed that contract. He's looking to stay healthy, which I understand why, because guess what? The Baltimore Ravens just paid him a lot of money. And now he's not throwing touchdowns because guess what? I don't trust any of their receivers either. I mean,
I don't trust his arm.
I think his arm is actually not awful, but it's just they're just not using it.
You sure about that?
I mean, he's not sure about that. He's not getting the attempts that other quarterbacks do. I mean,
he's not.
Who gave you the media button? No one should give you the media button.
So we were just talking about the Patriots and how they had 18 completions from their quarterback. He put up 13.
Yeah.
So and 23 attempts. That's not that high.
I think Lamar is definitely someone that you're going to start no matter what, just because of who he is. But definitely a disappointment from where you drafted him from a draft capital perspective. But rushing wise, he did it this week. 41 yards. Keaton Mitchell I, I mean, he got a touchdown, so you can maybe go after him. I think he's going to be used a little bit more. Gus Edwards, he showed a little bit of volume, but definitely disappointing, right?
Gus Edwards is another Kareem Hunt, I think. He's going to be that touchdown guy. He's getting the goal line work, and if he doesn't get in the touchdown, if he's not getting the touchdown, then he's going to be worthless.
Yeah, and like the Ravens backfield, I don't know if I'm really starting anybody from there. Like it's a hit or
Yeah.
miss.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a bag of tricks every week, and it's kind of been that way for like 3 seasons now. I think
I,
they're missing like a key piece there.
I think the Ravens are no different than any of the past 2 years. The only people you're playing are Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews.
Yep,
That's
I
all.
agree.
That's really it. I mean, you can't trust anybody else. There's gonna be players who can put up numbers. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, he can put up a number, and I think he scored a touchdown. Yeah, he scored a touchdown the past 2 weeks. You still have Zay Flowers, who's immensely talented, but they're not going to be consistent. They're just
No.
not going to be consistent.
Yeah, Mark Andrews, Lamar. I think those are the only two guys you're playing on the Ravens side. But great game overall. I think it was pretty much a game of defenses. But moving on into Packers Steelers, which again, I mean,
That
I
was
can't
a
say it was
game.
super entertaining, but like it was. Like it was,
It was
a low. Yeah,
right.
it was a low scoring game, but I'm like, all right,
It was
like
interesting.
yeah. It was, on the Packers side, you had Jordan Love, who, again,
Yeah, you said it well. You just said it right there.
I mean, the guy had nearly a 50% completion rate, but he scored 2 touchdowns and he got 290 yards.
He also had 2 interceptions.
Right.
Yeah.
I just Jordan Love, the Jordan Love experiment is not going well. I mean, this is another game where it was just battle of the lacking QBs. I mean, I don't know if this year has had a lot of injuries to QBs, hasn't it? Or is it just me?
Well, that's why there's been a total of 10 starting rookie QBs this year. NFL's
Yeah.
single season record. It's because I
All
think
right.
there's, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray was out, Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Ryan
who's
Tannehill was out for a little
Daniel
bit.
Jones,
Yeah, so I guess
Tyrod
there's
Taylor,
been a lot.
Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, Aaron
Yeah, that's true.
Rodgers. Maybe
Yeah.
So
he's
yeah,
coming back by Christmas, man.
I hope so. I'd love to see
The
him.
hype is
But
real.
going back to it, I mean, just between these two teams, I mean, I don't know if I trust either of the Green Bay running backs anymore. I mean, Aaron Jones is just not quite getting the juice. He doesn't have the juice anymore. He's not getting a whole lot of targets. I mean, he did get a lot of targets actually this game. I guess I got to take that back. He's got 4 receptions, but only 20 yards, no touchdown. I mean, both Dylan and Jones were under 10 points. I mean, the person who intrigues me here is I mean, I'm looking at Reed. I'm looking at Jaden Reed, and I mean, is he going to be becoming the next top 2 wide receiver for them? I mean, Christian Watson's getting most of the targets. He's just not getting any of the receptions.
Yeah, I think right now it's a battle between Jalen Reed and, in my opinion, Romeo Dobbs, who didn't perform as well this week. But Romeo Dobbs has him and Jordan Love have shown that they've got some sort of synergy. I think Reed and Watson are probably for me your flex option wide receivers, or in a pinch your wide receivers are all on bye. But Aaron Jones, I think Aaron Jones is reaching bench level.
He's reaching bench level. I would agree with that.
Good. Yeah, and AJ Dillon also just like hasn't looked that great this season. I really thought going into the season that the Packers having, Jordan Love starting for the first time, they were really going to lean heavy on that run game. And I thought, like, man, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, they're going to get tons of carries. They're going to put up tons of yards. And it just hasn't gone that way.
It just hasn't worked.
The second half of this game, not a single touchdown, only field goals. And Jordan Love, I mean, he was top 12 this week. He was literally number 12. But, like, he might be someone to consider if he's your starting quarterback to trade to upgrade.
Yeah, I think he's going to be your streaming option if you're in a bind, or if you're in a super flex league. I'll play him because he does get a lot of
Like you
pass
said,
attempts.
290 yards.
Right. He's doing something fantasy wise, but Green Bay wise, he's not a great option. On the other
Just
side,
On the
you
just
flip
got to
got
side.
throw this out. I'm sorry, got to throw this out there. We keep saying 290 yards. That was a season high for Jordan Love. I have no love for Love. I don't know.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe brighter things are coming. All right. All right.
Yeah.
On the flip
Kenny
side,
Pickett.
can you pick it?
Yeah.
Season
Not worth
low?
talking. Season. I don't even think. I think that might have been a season high at 126 yards.
Oh, poor
You know what I
buddy.
will say though? I
Poor
don't really
buddy.
trust. I don't really trust any of the receiving core. Deontay Johnson was pretty much useless this game. Actually, everyone from a wide receiver perspective, I really don't trust on this Steelers team. But running back, tell me about the running backs on these Steelers.
I know that they 1-2 punch, man. And I thought like, whoa, Jalen Warren, he was getting these touchdowns, and then Najee Harris, he's also been getting a touchdown. And I really thought like, was Warren going to take over that spot? But they're working together. I mean, they're within 5 carries of each other. I think the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Mike the stat man. What are you seeing over there?
You
I mean,
starting
I'll
Jalen
tell you.
Warren?
I'm looking at. I like Jalen Warren still over Harris. To be honest with you, I do think he's got just a better look. Najee has, I guess, the name, but I mean that name is kind of tarnished at this point too. To be frank, I'm thinking that this game is actually a great time. If your trade deadline has not passed, I think both of these guys might be on the trading block,
Yeah,
and especially Najee Harris. I'd say try to move him on a decent stretch for the past 4 weeks because I just don't think that this team is going to be in it on any of these other games. I mean, Green Bay is not a good team. That's why they were running the ball. That's the only reason why I think the wide receivers are not being utilized because going forward, they're going to be behind. They're going to play teams with competent offenses and not relying on their best offensive weapon being Aaron Jones at 28 or 29 years old. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be behind, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball more. So I think
yeah.
Deontay Johnson and George Pickens will be more in. They'll be more
You
relevant
said
going into
Aaron
in 4
Jones.
weeks.
Did you mean Najee Harris and Jalen Warren?
No. I said that what I said was true. I think they went up against an offense where their best offensive weapon, the Green Bay Packers, was Aaron Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, I
This is
disagree.
insane.
I think Jalen Warren and Najee Harris are gonna put out numbers. I think Kenny Pickett can't be trusted to throw the ball. So
Thank you.
I think Warren and Harris are guys that you might actually, in my opinion, I think you might even want to try to get. There's so much. Najee Harris, you could probably get not too hard if you offer something. And Jalen Warren, I feel like this year he was pretty much a nobody. And I would say I would start either of these guys. These guys have the Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb vibe right now based off their past couple weeks.
The
Both
next two
have
games, they play
solid flex
Cleveland
value.
Browns and Cincinnati Bengals. I would not want to go against either of them in the next 2 weeks. And then after that
Bengals just
schedule,
lost.
huh? The Bengals did just lose. That's fine. I don't know. I just wouldn't want to go against either of those two teams. And then, yeah, you have Arizona after that, but then you have New England. New England's going to be they're a good defense against the run,
Yeah,
Here's why
they're
I
going to hold
trust.
them to 10-6.
I don't know.
which will be kind
I
of
trust,
shitty.
I trust that Jalen Warren and Najee Harris maybe not quite as many carries. I still think they're going to put up numbers. So Mike Tomlin, he just finds ways to win, and he knows how to use his strengths. That's the kind of coach he is, and I think it'll continue. I think this is a trend that will continue.
We will see. Put it on the board.
All right, Jordan and I, we're betting you that Jalen Warren, Najee Harris, fantasy relevant rest of season. You're saying trade away.
And-
We got it on record.
And I am betting against you guys. I think Najee and Jalen Warren will be going in a downward trajectory from now on for the rest of the season. Yes. I want to see this board next after this pod. We'll check it next week.
Man, we'll check it next week. And next game from this week was the 49ers Jaguars. Mike, start us off. How we feeling?
49. Oh,
It's
is that
backwards.
what he's doing right now?
It's backwards. It says Mike bets Tyler and Jordan $100 if Jordan and Harris perform the rest of the season.
Oh, I did not put a monetary value to it. I will have
Nor
to.
did I.
No. We don't have to give him anything. He has to just give us if we're right.
That's
This is a
not how
one-sided
bets work.
bet.
That's not how board bets
I
work.
win, I win. If you win, you lose.
Exactly. I win no matter what.
That's not how this works either. But want to know where it did kind of work? San Francisco going against Jacksonville. That game was exactly how you'd expect it to be. Oh my God. Well, Brock Purdy came back and he basically looked and did Brock Purdy things. 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. And Christian McCaffrey still being dominant. But can I just say RIP?
No touch.
RIP to
Yes,
the touchdown
no
streak.
TD. I was
What
trying.
happened there?
I wanted him. Oh,
I
They
wanted
tried.
it too.
keep it going, man.
I really
Man.
did. I wanted it too. But you know what? It wasn't for a lack of effort. I cannot say I saw a lot of this game, but from what I did see and from what I did hear, McCaffrey was pulled. He was pulled out of the game when it got to be like just out of hand. But
Yeah, but they put him back in.
later on, they put him back in. They put him back in when they were on the
Right.
goal line with like 5 yards left. And they really did. They tried to give him that opportunity, but I guess he just couldn't quite make his way over the goal line. You know what? He tied it. He is in the record books. Thank you to Christian McCaffrey, but you know what? Maybe he's just got to start a new one.
I think the surprise of the week for the 49ers was George Kittle with that awesome touchdown.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Proven that he's still a start tight end. I mean, you drafted him where you drafted him. You're starting George Kittle every week. Even if he gets 0 the next week, I think you're starting him.
Yeah, I agree. He's gonna, you know what? You're gonna have to sit on maybe a goose egg, maybe, but like a
Right.
couple low games. That's just gonna happen. But he's gonna put like on average, he's gonna be better than most. Especially now that they got solid quarterback play,
Yeah.
like that. There's everyone in the 49ers you're starting.
Yep.
And Debo with coming back getting a touchdown. Ooh, showing he's still
Debo,
got it.
I like Debo a lot, but what do you guys think of Lawrence? Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is no words.
Man. So at the beginning of the season, doing some preseason like prediction reading, I remember reading like that Trevor Lawrence, the way he played those last 8 games of the season, then he had that incredible comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs. Everyone thought like he's going to take that next step to be like in that Burrow Mahomes conversation. And then he has just fallen flat this season. I picked him in one of my leagues, and I've maybe started him 1 week. Luckily I also had Kirk Cousins, so I threw him on him. But not so lucky I have Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. T-Law is not showing to me that he's worthy of that reputation that he got when he was in college. I mean, he's I'd say a starting or startable. He's maybe a streamer. I mean, I guess maybe he's a streaming quarterback. But here's the thing: like, I can't help but notice the Jacksonville is 6-3. We got to give them credit where it's deserved. I think they're really riding the backs of Travis Etienne this year. He's the one who really has just broke out. I mean, he had a bad game this game, but it's against the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think you can read too much into this one. I think you still start Travis Etienne, pretty much not even questioning about it.
Here's my thing, though. These teams play again, let's say. I feel like it would be a very similar outcome. Not very similar, but maybe Jacksonville gets up to 17. But like ETN and Lawrence, when they're going up against one of those top 5 defenses, ETN I'm still starting. Trevor Lawrence, no way.
Yeah, I think one of the pieces to this puzzle, though, is, you look at when the Niners scored. I mean, they were ahead at the end of the third quarter. They had 31. they had 27 points. So Jacksonville literally couldn't run the ball. So I'm okay with I think ETN, like you said, Mike, he's their backbone right now. You start him. Christian Kirk, I think, is continuing to show that he is a favorite of Trevor Lawrence. For as little production as Trevor puts out, Christian Kirk is typically the recipient. So Christian Kirk's a play. Calvin Ridley. Ugh.
I was just gonna ask you guys,
Bombs away.
man.
Bombs away.
Yeah. Is he in your redraft leagues? Are you dropping him?
I think he has reached the status of droppable. I really do.
Let's take a look. I mean,
he's just not putting up numbers. And the 3 of the last 4 weeks, he's under 5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you look at the last 4 weeks he's played, because he did have a bye week in there. Against Indianapolis, you got 4.6, New Orleans 1.0, Pittsburgh 11.3, and San Francisco 3.0.
Yep. And then look ahead. So now this week, you might play him this week against the Titans because they're weak. Houston, after that, all right, I can maybe see another one. But then it's the Bengals, Cleveland, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. You're not going to play. You're not going to play him into. You're not going to play him into the playoffs. And the next, outside of these next 2 weeks, if you want to keep him for the next 2 weeks, I'll say keep him for the next 2 weeks to try and get into the playoffs. Maybe, but I wouldn't feel comfortable.
No, I think he's hit and drop territory. You look at the other opportunities at wide receiver. I don't think I would prefer Ridley. I think honestly I would drop him. I mean, who are some of the guys who are some of the lower guys you drop for
Odell Beckham Jr. or Calvin Ridley?
You'd take Odom over Calvin Ridley?
Are you saying who you'd pick up?
Yeah.
I would take
Brown.
OBJ over Calvin Ridley.
Wow.
Noah Brown.
Yeah.
Noah Brown. Yeah, right now for sure. I think he's absolutely a guy.
All right, here we go. Pop Douglas or Calvin Ridley.
I think I'm still going Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
I think I'd go Pop.
You think?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Man. All right.
All right.
What were you gonna say? With what?
Pop Douglas. We're talking about the right guy, Demario Douglas.
Yeah.
With Mac Jones throwing the ball.
I'll take him over Ridley at this point.
I don't know if I can do that because the divisional games are so much hard that really want to know. My thought is matchup dependent. And again, I'm thinking of the next 2 weeks. After what I just said, the next 2 weeks, he's going against 2 less than stellar defenses. So there are going to be potential shootouts. And I'm not playing him at all in the playoffs, which would be weeks 13 on. So all I'm looking for is the next 2 weeks to try and get into the playoffs. And in which case I will take Calvin Ridley.
All right.
Well, moving on to the next game. Joshua Dobbs gets it.
I am so excited. I want you to all go back to last week. I want you to all go back to last week and just listen to how I basically dipped Joshua Dobbs in gold and then look at this performance. My God.
Hey,
I can play.
I also said he was going to be big. He was going to continue on this.
I know. I was the one saying that Gardner Minshew and Baker Mayfield I put above Joshua Dobbs. I will own that. Baker, I got right. Gardner Minshew this week, that's all right.
Yeah, when you said Gardner Minshew over Joshua Dobbs, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Hey,
people, do we trust this man?
I will say, thank goodness that Jameson Winston took over. I mean, Derek Carr, I'm sure he's great for the Saints, but Jameson Winston loves to put up fantasy points for us.
Man,
not for himself though.
No. I'm not talking about that.
Man.
No, yeah. You're right. I mean, if you want to stick to the New Orleans side of the ball, Jameis Winston taking over was pretty much the next best thing you could have possibly asked for Chris Olave.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is some beef with Derek Carr and Chris Olave, without a doubt right now. I mean, Derek Carr does not want to throw him the ball. I think it was the first target that Chris Olave got from Derek Carr was, I think, in the second quarter, and I think it was at the end of the second quarter. And
Before he
then
got
after
injured.
Derek Carr went out, I'm sorry.
Before he got injured, that was like one of his last throws was to Chris
Yep.
Olave.
Yep. And then right after that, Winston ends up going in. What did Chris Olave end up getting? 6 for 9.
6 receptions, 94
9.
yards, and a touchdown.
Touchdown!
Yep. Yeah,
I don't think that's going to be stopping. Now, I think Chris Olave has finally registered total lock.
Yeah, I have him actually in our league. I was very worried. I was like, man, he's hitting no points, and then he popped off a little bit, got that touchdown. So I do think he is a lock. Jameis Winston, not afraid to throw long. But
Right.
in terms of whoever is at quarterback at Saints, I trust Chris Olave, but I'm still not starting a Saints quarterback.
No, I'm not
Nope.
either.
Jameis Winston.
Who are the playable players on the Saints right now?
Kamara.
I'd say Kamara, Olave, and unfortunately, I think that is pretty much where it stops. Oh no, I'm sorry, Taysom Hill.
You
Taysom
have
Hill.
to play
Taysom
Taysom Hill.
Hill.
Taysom Hill. You can't forget Taysom Hill. You are right.
Yeah, I mean
Right.
he's one of those guys you have to consider.
And even
Now-
Jameis Winston, when like at one time he did lead the league in touchdowns. Same year he led the league in interceptions. So this game, it just continues to show that.
Yep.
The only
But it's good news for
the only
Chris
thing that
Olave.
really does get affected, I will say, Derek Carr going down and having Jameis Winston go in. I do think it probably puts the writing on the wall for Shaheed.
Yeah,
I think Shaheed is probably done.
I think it could take a little bit away from Kamara because Jameis Winston's not afraid to throw the ball. But on the other side, one of the other disappointments we talked about last week was Alexander Madison. This week he's out with a concussion. If he doesn't play in week 11, are you guys starting Ty Chandler?
I would not start him personally. I think what you really need to do is you pick him up off of waivers because he is available in pretty much every league, and you just watch. You watch at this point.
I agree with Mike. You want to. He's someone that you pick up for sure because the potential is there. Do I start him this week? No, I think I store him away and sit on him and see what happens.
I think I would start him this week. The Vikings aren't on bye, right?
No, the Vikings are not on bye, but the bye is coming up.
They're versus the
bye
Broncos.
is coming up.
Yeah, I would say
Saints are on bye.
honestly, I would start Ty Chandler because on week 12, I would expect Alexander Madison to clear the concussion protocol. I think this is the week to play him. I think this is the week he's going to get volume, and a volume running back hopefully always is going to turn into points. But that's really it for running backs. I don't even think I trust Alexander Madison going forward.
Well, who do the Vikings play next week?
They play the Broncos.
Broncos.
Oof. Broncos aren't great against the run game.
The Broncos have been a lot better against the run.
Back. I think I would start Ty Chandler next week.
I think the Broncos have not been as bad against the run since they got absolutely demolished in the first 3 weeks of the season. After Miami basically just used them as a rag, I think they really have kind of shorted down. Their defense has been better. I just don't know if you can really trust them.
Well, next game is a banger. The Texans and the Bengals. What an awesome game that was. And CJ Stroud. Wow. Just tearing it up. He's known, I think if you got him, you have to start him. What do you guys think? Is he a lock?
It's killing me. It is killing me, Jordan, to say this, but I do think he's a lock. And the reason I'm so conflicted. I'm so conflicted with this one because I have him in a dynasty league with a taxi, and he is my taxi right now. So if I take him out of my taxi, I have to. It's a league rule. We are not allowed to have more than 3 quarterbacks because it is a quarterback super flex league. So we are not allowed to have more than 3 quarterbacks who can play. If I take him out of my taxi, I have to drop one of my 3 quarterbacks because he will be my 3rd quarterback. and I'm
Explain
so
what a taxi
conflicted. So
is.
okay. So, if anyone does not know, when you have for example, like my league, a super flex league where you can play multiple quarterbacks, you can have a super flex position that includes any one of your wide receiver, tight end, running backs, or even a quarterback. You can literally have, again, multiple quarterbacks on your starting lineup. But a taxi spot is designated as a roster spot that is just for rookies, and they do not count as your actual roster. And it is something that you can't just float people in and out of. As long as they are in your taxi, they can be yours, but it's kind of like a farm system. But if you take them out of your taxi and put them in your roster spot, then you cannot put them back in. That is it. They are locked in for the season.
Thank you
I
for that
see.
explanation of what a super flex league is as well.
Yes,
Appreciate
I figured I had to go all around.
Super flex.
I got excited.
Man.
I'm sorry.
The
But
other
yeah,
Jordan,
Other
I would
question
say
I have
CJ
for the-
Stroud is a lock.
he's a lock. Now, my next question on in terms of who's a lock, Damian Pierce. As long as he's out, are you starting Devin Singletary? 30 carries, 150 yards, and a touchdown. Like, I started him in one of my leagues. I did not expect to get, like, what was it, 22 points he put up?
he did 22.6 points.
Yeah, I did not expect him to go off like that. I did expect him to get at least 12 to 15, but man.
He's such. I need to see it again. I need to see it again because he put up a career high 150 yards. He's never done that before. He did get the touchdown. Before that, he had 13 carries for 26 yards. It's 2 yards a carry. I don't know if he's got the history yet. I need to see more.
Yeah, I would say he's tough. I think if you're in a pinch, you're going to play him. I think he's one of those guys who's if you've got someone else in your lineup, I would be hard pressed to, like Mike, Zach Moss or Devin Singletary. I'm calling Singletary.
Yes.
I think he's definitely an option for the pinch, but other than that, Devin Singletary, I think he's a candidate to be start. Receiving wise, Jordan, I know we mentioned Noah Brown.
Here,
Noah
wait,
Brown.
real quick. Devin Singletary or Ty Chandler?
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
That
Who are
is
the Texans
tough.
playing next week? Oh, Mike, that was rough. The Cardinals? Oh, no.
Singletary. If Damian Pierce is out, Devin.
Oh.
I actually think I have to say Devin
The
Singletary there.
Giants came back against the freaking Giants.
Oh, that's so rough. I'd say either because you're going to be happy, I think.
No, Ty. I think I got to go Singletary there.
Derrick
I have
Henry,
to.
bench Zach Moss, and you start both.
Yeah. All right. Answer before we move on. I would say I would go Devin Singletary.
All right, so we're all in agreement. We are all in agreement.
Noah Brown, 7 for 172.
72.
What?
Dude, CJ Stroud just continues to seem to like find a way to utilize his receiving corps.
So are we going after Noah Brown, or do we think he is a put in your bench and see if it keeps happening? Because they've got weapons. I mean, you think about who's out. Nico Collins is out. They did get Robert Woods back, but he was not really relevant as I don't think he ever has
been relevant. Yeah.
Tank Dell
He's a strong flex candidate. I think I'm starting him. Tank Dell's a start.
Noah Brown, you're saying as a flex?
Brown, there's against the Cardinals again. That's who we're talking about. I think next week, yeah. And next week is not a stellar enough defense for me not to, at least consider it. I don't want to sit on him if he goes off against them.
So are we picking him up, trading for him, or just looking at waivers? What do you think, Mike?
Noah Brown, I would not trade for him because I think he is.
Agreed.
I think he has literally done really, really well the past few weeks because Nico Collins has not been in the lineup, and I also think that they've been in a shootout both weeks. Arizona's not going to make him go into a shootout. and I don't think Jacksonville either. I
Yeah.
would pick him up off of waivers, absolutely, but I don't think that's even possible anymore. You know what? I take that back. Looking at it, he looks like he's only rostered in 38% of my league right here. So absolutely, you're picking him up off of waivers. And if you can, you're playing him. If you can, you're playing him against Arizona, but I just wouldn't exactly expect much. You're not expecting 20 points a game. I think you're expecting
Agreed.
him as a wide receiver 3 flex.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not trading for him. I'm picking him up if he is by chance on your waiver wire.
But sorry, yes or no? If Nico Collins is back, is he still a flex?
No.
Jordan?
No, I would sit
Okay.
on it for a week.
Yep.
Maybe that he's going to have more rapport built with CJ Stroud, so
Right.
we'll see.
Yeah, moving to Bengals. Joe Burrow, I
Joey
mean,
Cool.
didn't really help him too much to win the game, but fantasy-wise, he performed. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, which brought him down a little bit. But how many points did he have, Statman?
19.88.
So not what you expect from Joey B, but still, you won't be disappointed with 20 points.
You will
I
not.
think, I know he's having had a rough start to the season. Texans just beat them, but I think like Joe Burrow's not missing the playoffs without a fight. All right,
Yeah.
so in my opinion, if you got him these next few weeks, regardless of who they're really playing, I'm starting him.
I think
he still can like turn it on.
he's one of you drafted him where you did. You're going to play him, but
Right.
you do want that higher ceiling from him, which he is capable of. We just haven't seen too much of it. Mike, I know you're going to talk about Joe Mixon a little later on, so we're just going to gloss over him. But I mean, Jamar Chase, you're always going to start him. We don't have to spend too much time. Yeah, did you have him on your bench?
I did because I
Wow.
read too much into the fact that he didn't practice during the week and he had a back issue. I was all in on going after Boyd and Irwin, and I did not. I thought Chase was going to be that guy who was going to just be a distraction. And boy, did he distract me from a good decision.
I mean, Tyler Boyd still had a stellar week. I mean, 8
And so did
receptions,
Trenton
117.
Irwin.
Yeah, no, why don't they all just go off on me? That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamar Chase got me 21 points on my bench because I was an idiot. But
Now, would you
thank God I
guys?
won that week, though. Anyway, oh wait, no, I didn't.
So, Mike, you touched on it. Is Boyd and Irwin? I would say Irwin. We can gloss over him, but is Boyd someone that you think you should pick up? Or like, are we picking him up, or are we kind of maybe a bench stash if you got room? Because for me, I don't think I'm going to spend time to trade for him. I might pick him up, leave him on my bench, but I'm doubt I'm ever going to play him.
I'll tell you right now,
I might try to trade him away if I got him and bait somebody.
If I'm I would try and get him off of waivers if he's available, but I would definitely trade for him if I'm an owner of Chase or Higgins. Because Higgins, the only reason I think these guys are going off right now is because Higgins is out, and he's been out a lot this year, and I do think he's going to be hurt for a while. He's not 100%. He's not looking like himself. So I think Tyler Boyd will be a benefactor of all of that, and I think that was kind of a result for his 8 receptions, 12 targets, and unfortunately no touchdown. But I believe
did something.
He had a good week. I would get him as a stash behind one of those top 2.
Man.
Yeah. Titans, Buccaneers, Jordan.
So, I mean, not so good. I mean, Will Levis, after coming out real high, if you picked him up and tried starting him, maybe because your quarterback was on a bye, not great results. And if you had, it didn't matter who you had in the running game from the Titans. Neither one put up good points.
Are we worried about them? Or you think this is just a Buccaneers defense situation?
I think it could be a Buccaneers defense situation, depending on the defense they're playing. It could change the run game. But, I mean, Spears is taking any targets out of the backfield from the quarterback. Henry's not really
Jordan's-
getting catches.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
I'm really worried about Derrick Henry in this running offense. I think Derrick Henry you drafted to be a workhorse back who is no longer remotely the workhorse that he was. He's not even seeing half the snaps. And
Do you
his
think this is
efficiency's
just
not
this
there.
game, or do you think it's going forward? We're going to see the run game on the
I think
Tennessee
it's going
Titans?
forward. Jordan said it really well. Jordan said it really well with the fact that Derrick Henry is not typically the guy who's going to be catching passes. Tajee Spears has shown that he can really do that well. He's taking a majority of the snaps anyway, and this is not the Tennessee Titans of the past 5 years. They are officially
No.
bad. They are officially
Yeah.
bad. They are at the bottom of the division. They are going to be chasing games, and they're going to be chasing games with Will Levis, who is not a good thrower, but he does like to throw, and he can throw far. I think they're going to be trying to throw a little bit more often. They're going to be coming back from behind, and I do think Tajee Spears is going to be pretty much, maybe not officially, but I think he will be the RB1 on this team.
And
I
thoughts
do-
about the receivers?
I don't trust any of them, including DeAndre Hopkins. I just, as much as DeAndre Hopkins was great for fantasy and a great player, I just don't think he has it anymore. I mean, he's got 3 touchdowns on the season, and they all just happen to be in one game. I think you're pretty much putting to bed almost everyone on the Tennessee Titans. You don't want to play any of them.
Yeah. What about the Buccaneers side? Baker Mayfield, 18 for 29. We talked about him last week. I love
Baker.
watching Baker play. I mean, he had an interception, but fantasy-wise, he's a streamer, I think, if you're desperate.
He's throwing to Mike Evans. Mike Evans is going to keep beating.
I think Baker. I think he's easily. I'm very happy to start him if my quarterback is on a bye. Mike Evans is still cooking this season.
Yeah. Mike, what about you?
I think Baker Mayfield is going to be. He's throwing to Mike Evans. So I mean, with throwing to Mike Evans, he literally is going to have one of the game's best wide receivers of the last. God, is it 10 years? Probably 10 years. And he just keeps throwing it to him, and Mike Evans keeps putting up numbers. I mean, Mike Evans had how many yards last game? 143.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy just keeps producing. I mean, he almost catches everything within his range, and he's got a big range. So I think you keep playing him, and you move on.
What
How
about
Rashad White? You starting
Yeah,
Rashad
I was gonna
White?
say I feel like you have to. His run game is, I would say, it's average, but he is proving himself to be a great pass catcher. 2 receptions, which isn't a lot, but 47 yards and a touchdown. The guy can work. I think he's had a pretty okay fantasy season. Am I right, Statman?
I feel like I'm like insulted by Statman. We know a Statman, and he's not exactly well liked around here. Come on, man.
Wow.
It's all with love.
No, I think you're right.
I was
think
like, why does
Rashad
Mike
White
get
is
to be stat man?
Oh, Jordan's cutting out.
Jordan's lost. Jordan's lost.
I'm good. Yeah, Mike, what were you saying?
Rashad White is a play. I think he's really outside of this upcoming week. I don't like it. I don't like going up against San Francisco, but I mean, you got Indianapolis, Carolina, Atlanta coming up. Atlanta's also pretty good run defense, but I do think that they're going to be running right through them. I think he's getting a lot of targets. He's getting a lot of usage. I think he's a play. He's the RB 11 on the season right now.
Yeah,
And he's gone through his bye.
Yep. Yeah, I would say he's worth picking up.
Rashad White, with him, his saving grace is definitely the receiving game.
Yeah.
His running game has not been strong.
I'll be honest, that blows my mind just looking at him right now as the RB number 11 with going through a bye. You're saying he's fringe top 10. I'm amazed by that.
Where
Joe
are you
Mixon
looking
or
at
Rashad White,
those
guys?
position rankings? Because aren't they based on your weekly average, not on your total?
No, he's the number 11 running back on the season, and he had a bye.
Yes, but how are you ranking those positions? Is it by average weekly points? Or
RB, yeah. He's the number 11 RB.
So
Running
bye
back.
week wouldn't matter.
It's total
yes, but
points.
right, because then
But
other
they-
competitors
okay,
like
there we go.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's
it's
total
total
points. Okay.
Yes.
right. So that's why the bye helps him a little bit. But you're right. I mean, surprising.
Uh,
I would
okay.
take. I would take him.
Yeah, get some names. What? Joe Mixon or Rashad White, guys?
Rashad White.
I gotta say, I thought this would have been a slam dunk Joe Mixon, but now this is really questioning. I still lean Joe Mixon, but that's so
Mixon.
close.
But I wouldn't bet on it.
Alexander Madison, when he's healthy.
Either
Nope,
Rashad White or Joe Mixon. Either one over him. Hands down.
Yeah, I would go Rashad White. I mean, I think you're right, Mike. I think Rashad White is a guy that you can trade for and feel good. He's been on his bye. He's number 11 on the season. He's putting out points, receiving and running. I think he's a guy you want to go to. But yeah.
This one's gonna hurt for draft. When you look at your draft rankings, Derrick Henry or Rashad White?
Oh.
The reason you're saying this, I'm going to assume that Rashad White is having a better season than Derrick Henry. And I think that's the only reason you're asking. But if I didn't know that and based off you, I would say I'd go Derrick Henry. But I bet you're going to say Rashad White's doing better.
I got to look it up right now. I'm Derrick Henry is number 10.
Oh.
Number 10 in total points?
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Me neither. I thought Derrick Henry was like 15.
Still a beast. All right. So moving on to the next game. Man, Tyler's team here this season. And the team I've actually been following the most since my real team, the Giants. They are terrible and unwatchable, basically. But, somehow Tommy DeVito put a punch. But we'll get there. Let's talk about Jared Goff, the Goff-father. Tyler, start us off.
Yeah, I mean Jared Goff. I'm wearing his jersey. I'm a little biased because I think
his jersey.
Yeah, I'm a little biased because I'm a big Jared Goff fan. That's actually what got me into support the Lions. But Jared Goff, Statman, correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong twice out of the two guesses I had last week. So I think Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback, and he might even be. Is he 11? Is he 11?
1, 2,
No!
12.
Oh, I'm 0 for 3.
He is 12.
All right, I don't care. Jared Goff, you're starting. I'm starting. Be a friend. Be a bro. Come on.
I was so hoping, Tyler, that you were just going to say, I believe he's a starter. He's an actual starting quarterback. And I was going to say, yes, he is top 12. But
he
top 12. You're typically
this week, though.
Yeah, you're typically in 12-team leagues. Someone's got to start him.
That game was awesome.
Exactly. And then you had to stay top 10.
I think, Jamar Gibbs, number 1 running back of the week, if I'm not mistaken, or tied for it.
He was up there.
Yeah, definitely top 3.
I think he's reaching his point of lock status, and he's finally getting what everyone thought he could be. He had 3 receptions. That was what the hope was. He had a bunch. Like in college, he was a receiving running back. So he's really growing. Okay, Montgomery and Gibbs. You starting both?
Yes.
Both are starters.
This is the Nick Chubb Kareem Hunt actual duo. I said Jalen Warren and Najee Harris, but this is the actual duo you want to see on the field and you want to see on your lineup. You're starting both. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is showing he can catch and run. David Montgomery, he must have ate his Wheaties or something this season because that guy is popping off.
Want to know what he did? He left the Bears.
Man, he let the
All he had to do was leave the Bears.
Bears.
So you're starting those two. You're starting them.
I think there's 3 for sure lock starters on this team. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I think you're underselling the offense.
I do too.
I think there's 5. Jared Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Laporta.
Yep.
Okay, I was going to say the same thing. 2 I would consider. I just feel like those first 3 are the for sure Without question.
I'm starting all 5.
I'll say you're starting all 5. The only one I gotta say, I mean, you guys are going off, and I absolutely love it because I have Gibbs in multiple leagues, but I am nervous. I am nervous that this is just a little bit too much sugar in my coffee because I'm afraid that Montgomery's coming back.
When have you ever had too much sugar in your coffee?
Oh,
I'm trying to cut it back, boys.
you can
So
diabeat it.
I
Hey.
think but I'm sure. What do you got for media there? There you go.
There you
I
go.
just think that Montgomery, when he comes back, he's just coming off an injury. He's
Yeah.
just coming off an injury, and I think that he's getting eased into it. I do think that Gibbs is their new shiny toy that they want to keep
He is.
keep going. And I'm
going.
afraid they're gonna end up wanting to save him for playoffs.
I mean, I gotta say, I feel really, really bad for Justin Herbert. Does anyone feel really bad for the guy?
He's putting up, bro. He's putting up.
He's
points.
working so hard.
Dude, it was like Kirk Cousins at the beginning of the season. Top 3 quarterback, week 1 through 3, and then all of a sudden, just like his team just couldn't win. Justin Herbert going through that same path right now. Like, man, but he is another for sure lock. If you got him, start him.
Oh yeah.
Justin Herbert, I actually I targeted him in I think every single draft that I took this year, and I was really thinking that he would be the QB1. I actually thought he would be the QB1 by the end of the season. He's looking like he can be.
Too.
He's looking like he can be, but the problem is I did not anticipate the Chargers defense to be this bad. You're right.
No.
I mean, I think you are 100% right. He is just such an unfortunate soul right now. He can do almost everything except for stop the other team from putting up points.
Ironically, the team they played this week was in that same position, it felt like, last year. Remember the super high scoring game?
Yep.
The Lions lost to Seahawks 45-41. And the Lions were just putting up points. So Chargers, go draft some defense.
Tyler,
Who are you playing on the Chargers side? Who are we? Austin Eckler, are you going to start? Keenan Allen, he's going to be a start. Do we trust Quentin Johnson yet?
Nope.
No.
So Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, those are the only guys we're starting on this Chargers offense.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert. That's the only people I truly trust here. I mean, Joshua Kelly's getting a little bit involved, but no.
It's the Kelly curse.
It's with Eckler in, he's irrelevant.
Depending on the league, I could see an argument to where if you're in a dynasty league and you really, really need that number 1 pick, you keep playing the Chargers defense.
Yeah.
-9 points.
And the others, moving on to the Falcons Cardinals. We talked about Taylor Heineke last week too. I must be Jordan. You've got the good luck, and I've got the curse. Tyler Scott, he improved his yardages, and Taylor Heineke did not improve anything. 8 for 15, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Yay us! You're not going to play him. Bijan Robinson finally had a day filled with some attempts, 22 for 95 and a touchdown. So I think this rushing game, I personally have given up hope on Tyler Algier, if I'm honest.
Me too.
The only guy I'm really starting, and you ask me, the only guy I'm starting on this Falcons team, maybe I would say only guy is really Bijan Robinson. Are you guys starting Drake London or Kyle Pitts? I don't think you can trust him.
Well, Kyle Pitts, I've had him last year. I have him this year. And both years have felt like pretty much a letdown. Tight ends are always, it's a hit or miss with them. You're going to get 3 to 5 that are like for sure things. And the rest, it's like you won't know who's going to be good till the season, just like 3 weeks in. So, I mean, I'm going to agree with you there. Bijan Robinson, only one that I trust to truly start.
As much as I feel like Drake London was coming on too, but I think you gotta move on past him. I think you're right. Bijan's the only one you really try out.
And we must have a Fantasy Fool's curse because Jonnu Smith also got 0 yards.
Yeah. He's hurting me now. This is now 2 or 3 weeks in a row, right? This is
We hyped him up. Darn.
Mike got so excited about Johnny Smith.
Cardinals. Kyler Murray played 19 for
I believe
32,
the hype too, man.
249. You guys trust Kyler to be a starter, or are we keeping him benched until he's up to speed?
I personally am saying pick him up, and he is someone you can pretty much put in your lineup. I mean, look, he already put up 17 points, and he literally just got off of the pup. I mean, I think he's going to just get better and better. He already led him to a win.
Yeah.
This Arizona Coyotes team, he led to a win. I think he's going to keep getting better.
I personally say you bench him until you make sure that he's back, but and I think that's just my opinion. Receiving wise, I don't really think they're rushing. I mean, James Conner did something, so you could play him. He's definitely, I think, a flex option. Receiving wise, Trey McBride, are we targeting him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Zach Ertz. It was at Zach Ertz, right? Who's there on injury right now?
I think, Trey McBride, if I'm not mistaken, he was an early round draft pick for the Cardinals draft, not for fantasy draft. But in terms of fantasy, he's definitely one of my targets. Average of 16.4 yards on 8 receptions. It's a pretty good week.
Yeah,
he's on the up and up.
Hot take.
Especially with Kyler back.
Hot take on the Cardinals here. So the only wide receiver who you really are going to hear about is Marquise Brown. But what about Rondale Moore? If you go back to hear me out, Tyler. If you go back to last year, you basically have Kyler and Rondale Moore. They have something to where every single time Kyler was throwing to him, he was seeing 9 or 10 plus targets a game. As soon as Kyler went down, that stopped. It stopped this season as well. For Rondale Moore, he hasn't seen anything. Then all of a sudden, Kyler comes back, already sees 8 targets. In PPR formats, do you buy into any of that?
I mean, you can, but I probably won't.
Is he a guy who you may pick up off waivers for cheap in a full PPR and stash on your bench to see what happens going into the playoffs?
You could stash him.
Depends who else
available
is on that waiver wire.
I would say
maybe, but he's not that person I would be excited to see on the waiver wire.
I guess it comes down to who you're dropping for him, right?
Right.
Are you dropping KJ Osborne for him?
I was literally just going to say that. That's KJ Osborne. Yeah, I would drop KJ Osborne for Rondale.
Are you dropping Michael Gallup for him?
No.
Yeah.
No. You say no, Jordan? I would drop Michael Gallup for him.
I'm probably not going to play Michael Gallup,
but
I'm not playing Michael Gallup, so I probably would just to see if Rondale Moore and this Kyler thing happen. I'm usually not going to start Gallup if I have him. He's typically that kind of I'm desperate wide receiver, I feel like. So
he's meant to be a bench piece anyway. So
yeah, so I would drop him. But speaking of Giants, Cowboys. Sorry, Jordan. I think we're just going to skip over the Giants if that's okay, because Danny DeVito really sucks.
Whoa. His name is Tommy.
Is it though?
Can I just say? I mean, we give him a lot of crap, but he did go over 50% on his receptions, and he had
for 86 yards.
He was 14th in fantasy in his debut. All right, top 15.
Tyler, I just want to point out, DeVito had just as many touchdowns thrown as Danny Dimes did.
Danny Dimes also sucks, Mike. I don't trust any of them. I mean, I don't. Saquon's a play. That's it. Cowboys,
because he just gets the volume, but
he's killed.
I know.
Cowboys side of things, you got Dak, who is maybe a guy. I hate to admit it because I'm not a Dak fan, but I think Dak might be a guy you want to go after, especially going into playoffs. Past couple weeks, he's been
of the week.
Yeah, and the past couple weeks he's been top 5. Am I right this time? Come on, give me one.
Yeah. Past couple weeks he's absolutely been top 5. He's number 6 QB overall. So I think that just goes without saying. I mean, you're talking he was, I believe, the QB1 this week.
Yeah.
If not, he was top 2. I think he was pretty much top 5 the last 3 weeks combined. On top of that, he's been awesome. He's been absolutely awesome. I really thought that
Right.
this entire team was going to basically just ride the coattails of their astonishingly historically good defense, but no, the offense really picked it up.
All right.
Shockingly, they picked it
He
up
might
when
be
CD Lamb.
might be number 6 in total points. He's actually number 4 in average weekly points.
Perfect.
So Dak, I think, is a guy that you can look to get if you need some wide quarterback help. Just going to run through a list of names. Are we
trade
picking
target.
him up, or are we not? Still skeptical on Tony Pollard? We still. I think he's almost
He's
going to
been
be in a sit category.
Yeah, he's kind of got a. He's reaching the point where I'm like, dude, you got to prove it to me. You still got it. You're gonna sit on my bench until you have a good game.
Tony Pollard, I feel like he's such a hard one because I feel like he's almost in that like trade for category, but like he's still seeing you can get him for cheap. That's the thing.
You need to be right. I hope
You
you're
can
writing
get him
all
for
of Mike's
cheap.
predictions down.
I am rooting for you, Mike, on that prediction.
You
You
can
don't
get him
want
for
to bench
cheap.
him.
Because he's cheap. Like it's deserved.
Okay, Tony Pollard. If someone offered you Tyler Algier for him,
No.
Which means I'm getting Tony Pollard.
no, you'd get Tony Pollard for Tyler Algier.
Yeah, I'll give away Tyler Algier for that.
Oh yeah, I would do that.
Okay. Now then maybe that was a little too low. I'm gonna assume you guys are a no on Montgomery.
Absolutely not.
Najee Harris.
No, not right. Not with the way they've been playing.
Yeah, I would say no on Tony for not. I would think I'd rather have Najee.
I would
Right,
take
dude.
I
I
would
think
take
that Mike Tomlin is finding a way to win with making Kenny Pickett like a game manager type quarterback. You know, try to make the smart moves, and we'll get points little by little. He's not taking any big throws. He's not taking any big risks. They're not leaning on him to win. They're leaning on the run game.
Okay, Brian Robinson.
No, I'd take Brian Robinson over Tony Pollard.
That one I might do Tony Pollard on, just because I do wish there's an upside. Brian Robinson, I feel like he's in the same category of you have no idea what's going on, but Tony Pollard at least has proven that he's a top 5 running back. I think I would take the risk.
I think that Tony Pollard has to, on such an offensive team, has to start getting the end zone. He's still over 4 a carry in most of his games, and he's still seeing at least 12 touches in every game except for one.
Now, what do you guys take on the running backs? Brandon Cooks, are we picking him up, trading for him? We still don't trust him because I'm in that we don't trust him category. I'm not really going after him.
I might trade for him, but if I do, I
think people are going to expect too much.
Yeah, that's the thing.
After this week, people are going to look for it.
I would trade him. Let's put that.
Yeah.
Get as much as you can for him.
CD Lamb, you're going to start him. I mean, he's just
every week. He's
every week. Michael Gallup, we touched on. I don't really think I'm going for him.
No, I
mean, how many touchdowns has he had, Statman?
Looking at the one, including the one he had last week,
Yes.
1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
not going for him.
He really has not seen the ball much go his way after their bye week in week 7.
What about Fergalicious, Jake Ferguson? 4 for 26, 1 touchdown. I think for a tight end, you're gonna look to pick him up if for some reason he's on waivers. Jake Ferguson's been putting out numbers, but that's really it in that total blowout.
Jake Ferguson is a top 10 tight end.
Yeah.
If he's on your waivers, for sure get him.
And start him. Commander
Especially with
Seahawks.
the way that Dak seems to be trending towards the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still not going to win a playoff game, but he'll finish the regular season strong. So help you in fantasy playoffs for sure.
Yeah. Commanders Seahawks. Another entertaining game. I mean, There were some good games this week. Sam Howell, 29 for 44 and 312 yards with 3 touchdowns. That had to put him into
Man.
almost a 30-point
Yo,
category.
see, this is what I mean. When I look at, like, what was it? The Patriots had freaking 18 completions. All right. Just looking at this game, both quarterbacks. You can find quarterbacks that are just like more involved in the game than people like, Kenny Pickett and like Mac Jones. Sam Howell, 29 completions, 44 attempts. Geno Smith, 31 completions, 47 attempts. Like, it's
Sam Howell is the number 3 overall quarterback, and he's only being started in 41% of leagues right now.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, but all right. So here's a debate I've
he's
had
the
with myself.
number 3.
Number 3 quarterback.
All right, hot take.
With raw points on the season.
Hot take.
Interesting.
I've got Sam Howell and Justin Herbert. Am I sticking with Herbert every week, or do I pivot to Sam when I need to?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I got Herbert and Sam Howell. Do I stick with starting Justin Herbert every week, or do I ever think I need to hit the pivot on Sam Howell?
If Herbert is playing a top 5 defense and Sam Howell is not playing a top 5 defense, then I think I would go with Sam Howell. But comparing them, Justin Herbert averages 24.31 points, and Sam Howell has averaged 21.67.
All right, Mike, you had something?
I think I did not have anything. I'm sorry.
Oh. So we go to the rushing game. Brian Robinson Jr. pretty much was a one-man army on the Commanders. I think you're starting him.
You have to start him.
6 receptions for 119 yards.
Does Antonio Gibson have flex value?
I think he's
Did
starting
have a
to.
touchdown. I think he's always going to be in Brian Robinson's shadow.
I think you can, if you're playing him in your flex, I think you're nervous. I would not want to be playing him.
I'm not confident in his ability to be in my flex. I'm hoping for the best. He's right on the bubble though. Like, Tyler, you do bring up a good point. We may see him to trend in the right direction the rest of the season.
I think he's been trending in a better direction than when he started. So I would say he could be someone that you might pivot to. Really, everyone else on the Commanders was a disappointment this week,
except Sam
pretty
Howell.
much from top to bottom. Receiving wise, you're continue to be disappointed and cry to your pillows over Jahan Dotson. But Geno Smith pulled it off, finally.
I mean, yeah, Geno finally, after being, having the best completion percentage last season and having a stellar, comeback player of the year, right? Man, 2 touchdowns, 369 yards, 369. That's funny. And but yeah, I
think
Mike,
Geno
do you think
Smith,
this is a trend to come, or do you think this is a one-off?
I don't know. I think last year entirely and Geno Smith was a one-off. I don't know if I really want to keep playing him. People were drafting him this year thinking he was going to be the answer. I was skeptical, and
If you got him, trade him high.
if you could trade him for a top 12 QB of any kind, I would say I would take Russell Wilson. I would trade him for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a candidate for someone who I could see really going strongly both ways. From the rush game, you got Kenneth Walker, who performed really well for you this week. Receiving wise, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett finally did something. This is what you've been waiting on, right? This is why you drafted Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. They finally were able to do something.
DK. He led the league in end zone targets last season, and I'm just not feeling that same vibe. Like, I really thought he was going to cement himself as a top 5. But
yeah,
I'm still starting him week to week.
Yeah, I agree. But other than that, nothing really else to touch on for the Seahawks.
Yeah, Walker's still a starter.
Yeah.
Walker's still a starter, but I think you got to just be mindful of Charbonnet.
Yes.
Charbonnet's coming on strong. He's playing a lot more snaps. He's catching a lot more balls thrown his way. Talking about other running backs, though, let's go into this exciting and riveting Jets-Raiders game. Boys, what do you possibly do if you are a fan of the New York Football Jets?
I wish there was a
And you are
boo.
just watching this Super Bowl caliber team be led right into the ground. Wilson was supposed to be a friendly volleyball that would take you across the Atlantic, and instead Zach Wilson is flying this plane right into the middle of the ocean. Like, oh my God.
Oh, and I think, Garrett Wilson, of course, I'm still starting him. Brees Hall, you still starting him every week?
Yeah, he's a start. You drafted
Volume
him, you
is
have to
there.
start him. Yeah,
13 carries.
The explosiveness is there. I mean, Brees Hall, you can, generally speaking, count on a big play, but you're hoping that big play is 80 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I think this is just an off week for him. I think Brees Hall, I'm still starting him.
Yeah.
I heard a stat that in the last 6 or 7 weeks, the Jets only have 3 offensive touchdowns, and each one of them went to Brees Hall.
I believe it. I believe it.
So what do you do about it?
I still think you play Brees Hall. You drafted
Brees
him.
Hall.
You spent the draft capital. I think you have to play him.
Okay, what do you do about Garrett Wilson?
Again, you hate to. You have to play him.
Do you trade him?
I might trade low for him.
Yeah, I might trade low for him.
Why, at the hopes of Aaron Rodgers coming back?
Not just that, but like for the right value, I might take him, and like he could put flex or WR2 numbers. I mean,
What's
I'm
the
not
right
trading
value?
any of my key pieces, but
Jacoby Myers. Look across the team at the Vegas Raiders. Jacoby Myers. Do you trade Jacoby Myers for him?
I would keep Garrett Wilson.
Well, I probably wouldn't trade like a wide receiver for a running back. I'd probably see what that team needs.
Jacoby Myers is a wide receiver.
For a wide receiver, I would probably do a wide receiver or running back for a wide receiver.
Well, for the sake of the pod, though, for the sake of the pod, let's just
who
comparables.
Jacoby Myers.
What about Tyler Lockett?
I would go Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, because Geno isn't having the season that he had last season, and he's, DK, he's number one, man.
Okay, so you're actually still valuing him pretty high.
They got that rookie receiver there too. So like,
Jackson Smith.
Garrett Wilson is number one for sure in the Jets wide receivers.
Debo Samuel,
it's maybe number 3.
I'd still go Garrett Wilson over Debo.
Wow.
No,
okay. All right.
I don't like that one.
So Tyler, you're making it sound like Garrett Wilson is bad, but you're still rating him as a wide receiver 1.
Oh, I don't think Garrett Wilson's bad. I think Garrett Wilson has shown that his talent exceeds the assets that the team are. Like Zach Wilson's useless. Garrett Wilson's still putting up. His skill is proving to you that you need to start him. His skill is outstanding, even with a crap quarterback. So I think you have to play him.
It's his situation that Tyler's judging, I believe, not his individual talent.
He's getting the looks. He's getting the looks, and he's still getting yardage. So you're right.
Yeah, there's about 15 quarterbacks that he could be working with right now, and
I thought you were saying that you didn't like. I thought you were rating him a little lower than I thought you were. He is still a solid wide receiver too.
Yeah, I'll take him. Flip side, Aiden O'Connell, the Derek Carr lookalike. It's a Raiders thing, I guess. They literally look like twins. Useless. Don't start him. Josh Jacobs. He's. I mean, I know a lot of people thought he was done, but last couple weeks he's really proved that. I don't know if he's back, but he's back in a fashion of
Yes, he's
himself.
back. 27 carries. Only Devin Singletary had more.
Yeah.
The thing is, this one hurts, and
Yes,
Tyler
he's
knows
back.
why. But
Back again.
this one does hurt because I do think he's not necessarily gonna keep it up, but he just did this against the Jets.
Yeah.
A great defense. So, you know what? Maybe he is back. I mean, he still put up almost 12 points, 116 yards. Didn't get a whole lot of receptions, actually.
No, just two. But he's a start. Receiving wise, a slimmer of hope for Devontae Adams, maybe. Definitely disappointing for Jacoby Myers.
This
But
changing coaching has been good for that offense, to
yeah,
be honest.
boring game. But the coaching looks like it's doing a little bit. But also you're versus the Jets, so
Yeah,
let's be
I
honest
mean,
here.
now that Antonio Pierce, I think, is the interim head coach's name, took over, it seems like that locker room is doing better. And I expect this to be a trend with some of those guys, Adams, Jacobs. I think just in general, that offense is going to be better.
Yeah.
Agreed. Do we
All
go
right.
to our last game here, boys?
Yeah, I would hate
Monday
to
Night
say
Football.
this.
Whew.
I thought would be my game of the week, but I think it was the turnover game of the week.
It's certainly turning over to week 11. So,
I mean, Josh Allen is the talk of He's the talk of this week, and it's not necessarily in a good way.
no, he is not.
He's still number one quarterback fantasy wise. I mean,
He's number one.
He's number one. He has not had his
yeah,
bye week yet.
okay, but
What?
also average. He's 26.26. The next one is Hurts 26.16. So he's number one in average and in total. I think no doubt in my mind, am I still starting him the rest of the season?
You're still starting the number one overall player in fantasy.
There's without question. Why would you
Right,
even question
yeah.
it? Like, this is just an off game for him. Obviously the Bills just fired their offensive coordinator and the quarterbacks took over. But I don't think that's going to affect his fantasy value.
Josh Allen had a bad game. We could chalk it up to that. It was a very, very bad game. But that, to be fair, I think he had two interceptions, and I believe one of them was off the hands of one of his receivers. Listen, those ones I think they should count more as drops than anything else.
Yeah.
Latavius Murray, 9 carries.
Murray.
It's Latavius Murray.
Murray, good. Okay.
It's Murray. I was questioning why. I had never heard Murray. Okay.
Murray.
Okay.
He's not French, Mike.
I can be French.
Latavius.
Latavius Murray. All right. Yes.
Putting up 9 carries, 68 yards with a touchdown. Also had 2
Man.
receptions for 1 yard. I would say that this is a glorious chance to sell high if you can. But I just I don't think anyone's going to pay for him.
No. Exactly. I mean, if he's available, you taking him? I don't think
No.
so.
If I had a spot.
James Cook is, still going to get more snaps, I think.
James Cook is, I think, above and beyond not even I think. He is above and beyond your best running back here. Only problem is he's not quite getting the goal line work. I think he did actually get some goal line snaps here too, and he still couldn't get in, which is definitely a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But he had 11 points, and he fumbled twice or one. He fumbled the ball
twice. Yeah, and then
that's right, but one bounced right back into his own hands on a 50-yard run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a little bit concerning, but I mean, I wouldn't look past it. He was benched too. He did all this after being benched for 16 snaps in a row or something like that.
Yep. On the flip side, Broncos, Russell Wilson, 2 touchdowns, probably not super, super high fantasy points because he only put out 193 yards, but Mike, I think you brought up earlier. I think Russell Wilson's definitely a guy that you are going to consider starting. He's actually had a pretty decent fantasy season this year, I believe.
Yeah, he's number 14 on the season overall, and he's had his bye. So that's good to know that you won't have to worry about it going forward. He's not exactly in a lighted up, a really stopping conference. I mean, he's got Minnesota coming up, Cleveland, Houston, LA Chargers. Detroit's scary in the middle of the playoffs, but I do think actually he's got 2 games against the Chargers, literally all in the playoffs. So I think he's going to be a part of 2 games right there where he's going to just be chucking the ball. I think he's a play it for you.
Yeah. Rushing wise, Javonte Williams is starting to really come back. He looked pretty good. No touchdowns, but he looked back to form. Like he look. Eye test. He looks like he's recovered. Jalen McLaughlin. Yeah, Jalen McLaughlin, very disappointed. I really had high hopes for him during Williams' injury. Not panning out, but if you have him, especially I have him in Dynasty, I'm keeping him. Redraft, with this many games, with only 4 weeks left, I say you drop him. If there's better options. Receiving wise, Courtland
Sutton. I traded him away recently, actually.
Did you guys see the touchdown?
No,
I did. Well, he dragged his toe just perfectly.
I mean,
that was him. I saw that highlight. I forgot it was. Yeah. I saw that one.
And it got overturned, so it was legit. Like that was wild.
That he did really, really well. I really thought he was pretty much done after last year, and you know what? He's coming back for revenge now.
I think he's pretty much number 1
on this team
over Judy.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Yes.
Yeah. Everyone else, Broncos receiving wise, I don't think we're starting anyone else, which is fine. But I would definitely say Russell Wilson's definitely a start candidate. Javonte Williams, he looks good. You're going to start him. But
what about little Jordan Humphrey?
No. So that about wraps it up with the Week 10 recap. And before we go, we want to just quick touch on something for a couple minutes, and that is, as we are looking towards the end of the league, we've only got 4 more weeks left in that league. I think what a lot of listeners need to know is the season's not over. If you are behind, if you are down, you never know. Look at whoever's in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. How far away are you from them? Because there's 4 weeks left. You have 4 wins to get there. Like, I think it's one of those things where I think people give up looking at their score and seeing, 3-7, 4-6. You're not done. Don't stop.
Especially if you guys happen to be playing against those players, against those teams who are ahead of you. That's literally a swing where if you win that game and they lose, you're right there. You're right in the thick of it. So I would agree. I mean, play out the season as you usually want to. Fire sales are not usually fun. I know.
Make some sneaky trades, man. Some risky
trades.
Risk it
I
all.
know.
I mean, you're going to want to take chances. You're going to want to take chances. I mean, this is the time where you go for those opportunities where high risk, high reward. But I think at the end of the day, stay on top of your team. Don't play without a position. Make sure any guy's out, you take out. You're still in it. The season's not over. It ain't over till it's over.
I didn't hear no fat lady.
Just wait. I might start singing.
That would qualify.
But yeah, so just wanted to leave you guys with that. It's not time to give up yet. You still have some time, and I think it's important just for the league's sake that keep playing. You never know what's going to happen. 4 weeks is a lot of time, but all right. Well, I think with that, what do you guys say we wrap it up?
I think it's time.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, have a good week, everybody, and let's look forward to week 11.
Yeah, good luck week 11, everyone. All right.
Good luck week 11.
See ya. Take care.
Take care.